Hi, Phanessa here. In this video I am going to demonstrate how to crochet the Allotrope beanie. So this is a new design and it uses Mosaic crochet. If you don't know what Mosaic crochet is, if you're working flat in rows, let's say you're not working in the round, you always start from the right to the left. But because we're working in the round, it'll be a little bit easier to follow. I'm hoping to get some basic Mosaic crochet tutorials up on my channel soon. So I am going to make a little sample using this here. This will be my orangey color here. This is Lion Brand's jeans and it's the top stitch color. And so I'll use, this would be the contrasting and this would be the main color. Okay, so for this project, it's about an adult, I want to say adult medium. I used one ball each of, this is Vanna's Choice and this is jeans. And I just had a little bit left. So all the information on the pattern and the yardage will be in the description box. So you're going to be using two different hook sizes. You're going to use a smaller one for the brim and then a larger size for the main portion. For this one, I used 4.5 here, and then I used a 5.5 millimeter here. Okay, so you'll need two different sizes. You'll need a pair of scissors, a stitch marker to mark the beginning of the round, a tape measure, and a tapestry needle. All right, let's get started. So this is my main color. I'm going to start at the brim. Start with the smaller hook size. Okay, make a slip knot. If you need basics on crochet, I will leave a link for the playlist as well. Okay, so this chain stitch here is going to be for the width of the beanie. So it's going to be this size here. For this, I chained 7 and it's about 2 inches. So whatever size you want, that's the number of chains you will make plus 1. So I'll chain 6 for this sample. 3, 5, and 6. Okay, now you're going to work into the second chain from the hook. So here is the first chain here, this one, and then the second chain is right here. So work 1 single crochet into the second chain from the hook. You can go through the back humps or just go through 2 loops. So just insert right in the center, yarn over, and then you pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops. Into the next stitch, we're going to work another single crochet. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, with 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through both loops. Okay, so I'm going to work 1 single crochet in each chain stitch across. Okay, last stitch. So this is the width of your beanie. Okay, so whatever size you want. Next row, chain 1 and turn. Now we're going to work through the back loops. So here is your chain stitch. Okay, so this one here was the chain 1 that we made right here. This yarn is a little hard to see, huh? And then these are your stitches, the loops. There's this back loop and front loop. So if you insert here, that's the back loop. And right here is the front loop. So we're just working in the back loop. So 1 single crochet into the back loop of the first stitch. Okay, right into the back loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. Into the back loop of the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. Okay, so just work 1 single crochet in the back loop of every stitch across. Last stitch. Now you're just going to repeat that last row until you have the circumference of the brim. So I am making a sample, so I'm going to crochet 23 rows. You do want to end on the same side as your tail, so you will end up with an odd number of rows. Chain 1 and turn. 1 single crochet into the back loops of every stitch across. So if you're not sure what size hook to use, just look at the label on your yarn and it'll tell you the recommended hook size, and then use that size for the main body and go 1 or 2 sizes smaller depending on the yarn for the brim. Okay, so I'm going to work 23 rows and then we will join the brim. Okay, so I actually switched to this yarn because the other one was a little hard to see, and I don't know what I was thinking because I don't think there was enough in that little tiny ball that I found. I already had this made, and so this is a little bit longer than the one I just did. So that shows you if you chain more stitches, it's wider. So I chained 11 for this one. I usually like my brim about this size when I work a normal size beanie. So I have this here for the sample now. I actually ripped up the remaining because I don't know what I was working on. I'm sure it was some kind of beanie or something. So now that I have my 23 rows, I'm going to join my brim. Depending on your yarn, you just want to pull to see how much it stretches, and then you measure it there. Because after some wear, you will have a bit of stretching. Again, know your yarn. Some will stretch more than others, and so just be careful with that. For reference, so when I put this one together and I stretched to where it was about 21 inches. So if you have your favorite way of joining, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, go ahead and follow these next steps. So bring the foundation end with the tail in front of you and then bring it up to the last row you worked here. And we're going to insert our hook into the stitch here. This one, you can see 2 loops because I worked into the back hump. You may just see 1 loop there. On the last row that you worked, you want to work into the back loop. Okay, so you're still working into the back loop here. Yarn over, pull through and through. Okay, next stitch, you're going to repeat all the way across. So next stitch, insert your hook into the back loop of the stitch back here, and then work a slip stitch. Okay, next stitch, insert through this side, through the back loop of this side, yarn over, pull through, and then through the loop on your hook. So I'm going to go ahead and do that all the way across. Okay, so now you just turn it right side out because this is your seam. You want that on the inside. And there is your invisible seam. Now we're going to work a setup round. And you want to now switch your hook to the larger hook size. So this round is going to set up for the pattern. The stitch pattern is in multiples of 8, so make sure you work a number that is divisible by 8. So always increase, not decrease, to get your multiples of 8. So you should be working 1 stitch on top of or on the side of each of these rows. So I have 23 rows. I'm going to increase 1 stitch somewhere here so that I have 24, which is in multiples of 8. Let's say you have 46 rows and you need 48 so that you have a stitch count in multiples of 8. That means you'll need to increase 2. So somewhere either in the beginning and on this side you work a increase, or this side and this side, doesn't really matter. Try not to put it too close together. Just spread them out evenly. If you have to increase 3 or 4 or 5, go ahead and divide that evenly around your brim. So we're going to chain 1 and work 1 single crochet right into that same stitch. Mark the first stitch of the round. Our next stitch is going to go in between these loops here. So you see these V's here. This is the top stitch here, so you're going to work in between these 2 loops. So insert your hook right into the space between those 2 loops and work your single crochet. In this part here, you're going to work through the top, making sure that you go through 2 loops. Like that. That's so you'll avoid any huge gaps in your work. So next row here, I'm going to work right between those 2 loops again and work a single crochet. So you want to repeat that all the way around, and if you need to increase, you'll just work another single crochet into the same one you just worked. So you want to work 2 single crochets into 1 stitch, and that'll be an additional stitch. If you need the pattern, go ahead and see the link in the description box. So I'm going to work my 23 single crochets, and then at the end I'm just going to increase 1. Okay, so I'm going to work my last stitch, and then I'm going to work a slip stitch into this very first stitch here. Okay, now I'm ready to incorporate my other color. With Mosaic crochet, you're working 1 whole round or row with 1 color. So this is going to be round 1. So this is going to be the first round, and usually the first round you don't make any changes, you just work around with the same color. And with Mosaic crochet, you work into the back loops. So where you see the X's on the chart, that's at where you will work your double crochet in the round below. So on the chart on the sides, you see that the colors are alternating, so that tells you what color you should be using for that round. Okay, so I'm just going to make a slip knot here. I'm going to place this on my hook, pull this through, tighten that, and I'm going to tighten this one as well. I'm going to tie a couple of knots here so that it doesn't run away from me. So you're going to be carrying your yarn up the beginning of the round. So here is the seam on the inside of this beanie here. As you can see, I just brought each yarn up as I went so that you don't have to cut and weave in any ends. Okay, so I'm going to chain 1, and then into that very first stitch, okay, same stitch that you worked the slip stitch, you're going to work into the back loops. Remember, we worked into the back loops on the brim. It's just the same thing. So work 1 single crochet in the back loops in every stitch around. Mark the first stitch if you need with your stitch marker. Okay, so this is my last stitch here. So now I'm going to join to the first stitch here, but I'm going to do that from the back. So I'm going to pull my hook out, insert the hook through the first stitch from the back, making sure that your working yarn is down here and not over your hook. grab the loop from your last stitch, place it on your hook, and pull it through. Tighten that a little bit. Now I'm going to change the colors. So I'm going to drop this one, and then I'm going to pull this one through that last loop and tighten that last color. Okay, so follow the chart. Where you see an X, it's going to be a double crochet, and it'll be worked through the front loops in the round below. So that's why the stitches are worked in the back loops. So basically the front loops are reserved for the double crochets that need to come down. Okay, chain 1, and then into the first stitch here, 1 single crochet. Place your marker if you need. So the first 2 stitches do not have an X on it. It's the third stitch that has an X. So I'm going to work 2 stitches. I've already worked my first. I'm going to work my second into the back loops. Again, all the single crochets are worked through the back loop. So here is the third stitch, and there's an X on the chart. Now we're going to work a double crochet into the last round, but in the front loops. So here's my first front loop here, second, third. So if you follow this stitch here, it's slightly to the side a little bit because it naturally goes in a slanted direction when you work in the round. So it's this stitch here. I'm going to yarn over, and then I'm going to come down here and insert my hook through from the bottom up through the front loop of this next stitch here, this row or column, this column here. And then I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop, and then complete my double crochet, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. So whenever you work a double crochet, you're going to skip that very next single crochet. So according to the chart, I have a square that does not have an X, so that's 1 single crochet, and then the next one has an X. So I'm going to work a double crochet into the front loop of the stitch down here. So just like this one, yarn over, come down here, insert your hook through the front loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. Okay, so now we have 2 more single crochets and then a double crochet. So skip that one here, this one here, and then the next one we're going to work 1 single crochet and then another single crochet. And then we have an X on the chart, so that will be your double crochet. Yarn over, come down here, work through the front loop into the stitch from the last round, and work your double crochet. Skip the single crochet that's right behind it, and then just follow the chart. So that's the last stitch of the repeat. You're just going to repeat those 8 stitches all the way around. So I'm going back to the chart. I have 2 blank boxes. I know they're different colors, but you'll see how it all works out. It's the ones with the X that you work the double crochet. If you look at the chart, the box below the X is the same color as the box above it. So you have to bring down that color into the row before, or the round before. Okay, next stitch, just 1 single crochet. Next stitch is a double crochet. Just be careful you don't work into the wrong front loops, so just look here. So I like to look from here if I get a little lost because it is a little off-centered. So this is my last one. I know I worked 2 single crochets, and then this one here is going to be my double crochet. Okay, then I have 1 single and then 1 double. So the double crochets again are the boxes marked with an X. Okay, so just repeat those 8 stitches all the way around. So you will have more stitches than this, so every now and then I'd like to just kind of glance to make sure I'm working the right double crochet stitches, especially if you're new to Mosaic. You want to make sure that you are working the right double crochet so that you don't have to rip your work back. So I'm coming up to the end here. I've got 2, and then my last stitch is the double crochet. Stitch marker fell off, but this here is my first stitch, this one here. Again, I'm going to join from behind, so remove your hook, insert through the first single crochet from the back, and place your loop on the hook and pull through. And then drop the current color and pick up the next color. Pull it through the loop and tighten the previous color. Okay, so now we're working with this color. So looking at the chart, our very first box is actually marked with an X. So look below that box, there's also an orange colored box. So that's the reason why we have to work a double crochet to bring that color down to the previous round. So I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to come down here. This is the very first stitch here from the last round, and this is the front loop. So I'm going to yarn over, insert through the front loops in the round below, and then work a double crochet. So this is now my first stitch here. Okay, looking at the chart, I have 2 boxes and then an X, and then another 2 boxes and then another X. So I'm going to work 2 single crochets, 1 in each of the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet into the front loop of the stitch below. Remember to skip the stitch behind it, and then I have 2 more stitches and then a double crochet. And then the last stitch of the repeat is a single crochet through the back loop. So you're going to repeat that around just like you did in the last round. So starting over, the first box has an X. I'm going to work the double crochet into the front loops in the stitch in the round below. Okay, so 2 single crochets. When I say 2, it's 1 in each of the next 2, and then 1 double crochet. And the double crochet again is worked in the round below. 2 single crochets and then 1 double crochet in the round below. Okay, so I'm at the end here, working my last 2 stitches, which is the double crochet and then the single crochet through the back loop. So I'm going to join just like I have been before, from behind and grabbing this loop here. Okay, so now I'm going to drop that color and pick up the new color or the next color. Tighten that one, and then I'm just going to follow the chart again. So chain 1, and the very first box is a single crochet, so 1 single crochet through the back loop. So the next one is a double crochet marked by the X. We're going to work into the front loops in the stitch in the round below. Okay, now I have 3 single crochets through back loops, and then 1 double crochet down here. Again, just pay attention when you get to the X's and make sure that you're working into the right stitch in the round below. Okay, so in this round it's 3 single crochets and then 1 double crochet into the front loop. 3 single crochets through the back loop, then 1 double crochet in the front loop of this stitch in the round below, and then just continue that all the way around. I like rounds like this because it's easier to remember, because it's 3 and then 1, 3 and then 1, as opposed to just kind of all over the place. So I'm almost at the end here. Last 2 stitches, single crochet through back loop, and then I'm going to join with a slip stitch from the back. When I join this way, you don't see the other color when you switch, but go ahead and join with your favorite method of joining. So I think I can let you go from here, follow the chart. So in the next round, looking at the chart, there's 2 boxes before an X, and then 1 box until the next X, and then 2 boxes, and then another X. So the repeat is going to be 2 single crochets, 1 double, 1 single, 1 double, 2 singles, and then 1 double. Again, the single crochets are worked through the back loops, and you will work double crochets where the boxes are marked with an X, and that is worked in the front loop in the stitch in the round below. So you want to repeat that until you're happy with the size. I marked here because that's where I stopped. So the decrease is going to be about 2.5 inches. So there's a chart in the pattern that tells you the crown to ear size, and what I like to do is just go an inch above that measurement, just so I get the amount of slouch that I want. And because the repeat is so long for this, I have 2 different decreases. So you'll stop either round 9 or 19. So that's going to be here or here, because you can see these diamonds are staggered. So because the repeat rows are so long, I do have the 2 different decreases. So starting the decrease, I left out the next set of diamonds. So you can see here, these diamonds start to decrease, but I don't add in the next set of diamonds, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to work a few rounds. I'm going to stop on round 9, just because that comes first. So, and then I will show you how to decrease. So looking at the chart, I'm right here, and I wanted to show you this because this has 3 X's in a row. So all you're going to do is just work your 3 double crochets in the front loops of the 3 stitches in the round below. Okay, so I'm going to yarn over and work into this very first one of these 3. Work my double crochet. Next one, and then the very last of the 3. Okay, so don't freak out if you see several X's together. Just follow the chart and work your double crochets, and as always, when you work your double crochets, you want to skip the single crochets back here. So I worked 3 double crochets. I'm going to skip 3 single crochets back here and work my next stitch over here. So when you get to an X, but for some reason you're on a double crochet and you can't work below, so look at your chart again, because you should not have an X on top of another X. You might have missed a stitch somewhere in the pattern. So it's always a good idea to just keep an eye on it every once in a while to make sure you're on the right track. So I'm completing my 9th round, which is one of the rounds where I want to stop if I'm ready to start decreasing. Again, you're going to stop on 9 or 19. So just follow the correct chart for where you stopped your rounds. Okay, so I am on the white boxes now, which is my gray color. And if you look at the chart, the green line is where you will start your decrease. So below the green line, it's just to show you where you ended. Okay, so you have some TPs. They're decrease stitches. So the first round of decrease, I'm going to chain 1 and then work 2 single crochets through the back loop. Again, we are still working through the back loops even for the decrease. And then I have 3 X's, so I'm going to work 3 double crochets in a row, going through the front loop in the round below. So the next 2 boxes have a decrease. So what that means is we're going to decrease those 2 boxes into 1. If you look above, there's the blank spaces. That means there's no stitch there. Okay, so because you're decreasing 1 stitch, that column is going to be a no stitch column. All of the decreases are going to be single crochet 2 together, and we're still working that through the back loops. Okay, so into this stitch and this stitch, I'm going to insert through the back loops of the first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then I'm going to now insert my hook into the back loop of the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. So I have 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3. Okay, so I have decreased these 2 stitches into 1. Now the next stitch on the chart is an X, so I'm going to work 1 double crochet in the front loops of the stitch in the round below. Okay, so that is going to be the repeat. 2 single crochets, and then I have 3 X's, so I'm going to work 3 double crochets in a row, going through the front loop in the round below. Now I'm back at the decrease stitch. So this stitch and this stitch, we're going to work a single crochet 2 together, insert your hook into the back loop of the next stitch, grab your yarn, pull up a loop, into the next stitch through the back loop, grab your yarn and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So repeat that all the way around, following the chart. I'm at the end here, my last 3 stitches. So the next 2 are going to be the decrease. So single crochet 2 together through the back loop, and then the last stitch is a double crochet. I'm going to join like I have been through the back. And now we're ready for the second round of decrease. Chain 1. Okay, so the first box is a single crochet through back loop. Next stitch is a double crochet through the front loop in the round below. And then I have 3 single crochets. And then another double. So this round does not have any decreases. So if you look at the chart, the next stitch is the double crochet. 2 stitches below were decreased. So these are the 2 stitches that we decreased in the last row. This is the last row. We decreased this stitch and this stitch into one. Now if you skip over the blank box, because that doesn't exist anymore, we decreased one of these stitches, you have just one color. You're going to work your single crochet through back loop. Now you're just going to repeat that all the way around. 1 single crochet, 1 double, 3 single, 1, 2, 3, and this one again was decreased down here. So work your double crochet in this front loop here. And if you look at the chart, there's a blank box next to this X. That's because we decreased 1 stitch down here. So when we worked this color here, we decreased those 2 yellow colors. And so we just have the 1 single crochet to skip. So don't skip 2 because there isn't 2 stitches there. So the next stitch is going to be here. We're going to work 1 single crochet. So remember to skip the blank boxes. Those are empty spaces. And then you're just going to repeat 1 single crochet, 1 double crochet, 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 1 double crochet, and then we're going to work 1 more single crochet in the repeat. So what might get a little confusing is the empty box. So there are no stitches in the empty box because of the decrease in the previous round. So I worked this double crochet here and I skipped 1 back here. If you look at the chart, if you're counting the blank space, then you'll need to work 2 more stitches. So you skip the blank space and then you just work 1 more single crochet and then repeat your stitches again. If you work that blank stitch as a single crochet, it's going to throw you off the pattern. So it's very important that you do not work the blank stitches, the blank spaces. Okay, I'm at the end. I have my double crochet, skipping the blank space. I have 1 last single crochet in the back loop. I'm going to join. First stitch is a double crochet. Two single crochets and then 1 double. And then we have another decrease in this round. So again, we're going to decrease this stitch and this stitch together by working a single crochet through back loops. Okay, so through the back loop of the first stitch, through the back loop of the next stitch, and then work your decrease. So now we have a blank space. Again, please skip the blank space. The next one is a double crochet marked by the X. So okay, the next 2 stitches are decreases. So just like before, we're going to decrease these 2 stitches. We're going to single crochet 2 together through the back loops. So insert through the first stitch, pull up a loop, next stitch, pull up a loop, and yarn over, pull through 3. Okay, so now we have a blank space in the chart. Remember, that's just a no stitch. In the next box we have a X, so we're going to work a double crochet. And then we're going to repeat 1 double crochet, 2 single crochets, 1 double crochet, and then a decrease. Okay, insert your hook into the first stitch through the back loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, into the next stitch through the back loop, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 3. Okay, so we're going to skip the blank space, and then we have 1 double crochet here, and then starting the repeat, another double crochet. Two single crochets and 1 double, and then a decrease, and then my last stitch is a double crochet. Okay, on to the next round. Okay, I want to pick up my other color, chain 1. So the first 2 boxes are single crochet, then there's a double crochet, a single crochet, and then a double crochet. Okay, so now we have 2 empty boxes, so 2 spaces. We're going to skip those, and then the next stitch is a single crochet. Okay, repeat 2 single crochets, 1 double, oops, 1 single, and 1 double. Skip the empty boxes, and then 1 single crochet. Okay, so just repeat all the way around. Just remember, every time you see an empty box, that is a no stitch, so you'll just skip that and move on to the next box. Last stitch, single crochet, and then I'm going to join. Pick up the next color, chain 1. Now the first 2 stitches on this round is double crochets, so I'm going to come down here, work my first double crochet, and then my next double crochet. Then I have 1 single crochet, and then I have a decrease. So through the back loops of the next 2 stitches, work a single crochet 2 together. Now we're in the blank space, skip that, go to the next box. It is a double crochet stitch. Okay, so we're going to repeat all the way around, 2 double crochets, 1 single, and then a decrease. I have my decrease, and then the last stitch is a double crochet. Okay, I'm going to join. Switch colors. So this round also has no decreases. Let's just follow the chart all the way around. 3 single crochets, 1 double, and then skip the empty space. The next stitch is a single, and then repeat all the way around. You can see my work getting smaller up here. So because I have a sample, it's getting smaller quicker, but yours will be gradually decreasing. So you just want to follow the chart. Okay, so you can see that after this round, I'm not going to be using the contrasting color, so I'm going to cut that off. Okay, so we're going to chain 1, and then there are 3 double crochets. This one will probably look funny because it's already really small on top. Okay, so we're going to decrease the next 2 stitches. And then you just repeat. So it's basically 3 double crochets and decrease. So there's 1, 2, and 3, and then decrease. Okay, last 2 stitches are my decrease stitches. I'm going to join to the first stitch, and you can still continue to join from the back. The only reason why I did that was so that the colors would work out and not show on the front. But I'm not changing colors anymore, so I'm just going to slip stitch the normal way. You can slip stitch however you want. Okay, so moving forward, you can just work regular single crochets, or you can continue to work through the back loops. The instruction shows back loops, and you'll get 2 double crochets circle up here. But for this demonstration, I'll go ahead and work through both loops. So it's 1 single, and then single crochet 2 together. So you're going to repeat that. So it's 1 single, and then single crochet 2 together. And then in the next round, which is the last round, I'm just working 1 stitch and then decrease, 1 stitch and then decrease. Again, you can join normally if you like. I'm going to join just to make it easier. Chain 1, 1 single crochet 2 together. So that's what you're going to repeat around. Single crochet, single crochet 2 together. Okay, and that is it. If you feel like it is still too big, you can work that last round again, but you should be good to fasten off and close up the top. So cut a long enough piece so that you can weave in your ends. So you want to just pull the loop so that the tail comes through. Okay, so you want to weave your needle through the remaining stitches back and forth into the next stitch, and then next stitch, and then you just keep going around. It's easier if you just kind of weave it in like this without having to pull each time. So pull to tighten. So just insert through the center, and you want to weave it in on the inside, and then you have your other ends to weave in as well. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to cut these off because I'm not going to be wearing this, but you get it. Just make sure you weave in those pesky ends. Okay, so here is my little teeny sample. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you haven't, please consider subscribing. It really helps out my channel. And don't forget to hit that notification button so that you'll be notified every time I post a new video. Go ahead and leave a comment and let me know what videos you'd like to see. All right, I'll see you next time.